Good morning, Living Waters, and welcome back to our time of coffee together. I'm glad to be with you this morning. We are expounding this week on a topic in the sermon that, between you and me, I promise, don't let the whole world know, but between you and me, sometimes as a preacher, you can't always get to everything you want to do in a sermon. I know, believe it or not, some pastors like to talk a lot, and there's a lot to say. It's good news, and there's so much to share. And sometimes you don't get to everything that you originally planned in the outline or rough draft. Yes, I did make the sermon shorter than it originally was. You're welcome. Anyway, but I want to expound this week as our theme, building on the sermon text, this idea of living out, giving back to what God has given us, these blessings, right? I talked briefly about this radical acceptance of the year 2020. That there are things kind of like the serenity prayer, right? There's things that we can control, things we can't control. Help us with things we can't control, but not things we can't control. That's kind of how this is working. Give to God what is God's, and let's make 2020 the best we can for what we can do. And what we can't, we gotta give that up to God. And so I think this week we're going to focus on this radical change, radical acceptance, and maybe some ways we can make that happen in our lives. I'm turning to Jeremiah 29, a famous chapter, but around a famous verse. We're going to add a little more content. We're going to beef it up. I think you probably know Jeremiah 29:11. For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for your welfare, not for harm, to give you a future with hope. Right? This is a popular one, and some translations are a little different. Plans to prosper you, or whatever. Anyway, but I don't know if we know the context around it. We talked in some other videos. I don't remember what series at this point, but destruction has come, right? But here we go. Just back up to verse 10. Thus says the Lord, only when Babylon's 70 years are completed, I will visit you. 70 years! This promise we get in 70 years. That's a long time. I don't think COVID is going to go on for 70 years, so hopefully we don't have to relate to this too much. Right? But, okay, so that's our context. It's going to be a long time. Deliverance will come, but it won't be as soon as we want. Maybe we can relate to that a little bit. And then God gives this famous promise that adorns many bumper stickers, doorpost tattoos, etc. Continue verse 12. Then when you call upon me and come and pray to me, I will hear you. When you search for me, you will find me. If you seek me with all your heart, will let you find me, says the Lord. And I will restore your fortunes and gather you from all nations and all places where I have driven you, says the Lord. And I will bring you back to the place from which I sent you into exile, right? This is, God is saying that time out will be over. All things will be made anew. This too will pass. This is a word of hope for us during COVID. Now, how do we get into this radical acceptance of this, however? I think we look at this idea. We can't change COVID, just like the people of God couldn't change the exile. In fact, they had brought on the exile. They were getting what they deserved. Anyway, I don't know. That's another video for another time, if that's true of COVID with us. But anyway, but the key is that God is saying, yes, I'm here. You can find me. I'm active with you. Prayer, our connection is still here. I will help you through this, and that I will deliver. This is very true for us with COVID. And so as a church, I think we have to accept there are things we can't change, but there's still things we can do. We can still interact with God in that way. We can still have our community. When I think of a community, thank God for technology, right? We can stay connected like this. We can have coffee together, even though we're socially distanced. That's wonderful. I think of our fellowship after dark, where we get together and just play games over the Zoom and playing bingo and stuff. It's fun. Share some laughs. Our fellowship team, the events they've put on, right? We found creative ways to be able to be safe, yet still get through this. So it's a radical acceptance that COVID is here, but the mission of God does not stop. God's presence with us does not stop, and us being the church together does not stop. That's what we're looking into this week. So I'll see you tomorrow for another passage to dive into.